Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Electric Bison podcast. This week's been quite a week for me. I came to a couple of connected realizations that I was not expecting. This sculpture that's behind me makes me think of our national economy, our capitalist system. You know, it's working like full bore at every level. I don't know which one's the lower level, the top little ones up there, or that big sweep on the bottom. But our capitalist economy seems to be just thriving, you know. I think that the people that are working in the banks and the insurance companies, all that, they're doing a great job here in Montana. And then all the corporations, not all of them, but the ones that are doing the farming and ranching, I think that's all working well. But the realization I had this week came after I watched that big soiree that President Trump had for the people from Saudi Arabia, and then all the wealthy people from America that showed up for the big banquet. And I was looking at that, and it was kind of like a Great Gatsby moment or something. But what struck me is around it was all the news. You know, the terrible murder of Khashoggi, the guy who was an opinion writer for the Washington Post. You know, the guy got, he got ground up. He got cleaned up with a bone saw by one of the people that President Trump is just dismissing as, that's the way things are. And you kind of wonder, well, has he done that before? I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? And then telling our GIs, to go out and shoot up people that are faceless, possibly innocent, with no evidence at least presented to us, and certainly not to them. Now, when the Uniform Code of Military Justice is very clear, if you get a little illegal order from Defense or War Secretary Hegseth, no matter how illegal it is to go out and blow up a boat, if you murder somebody and you're the GI that did it, you're going to be convicted of murder. That's the way it works. Just check what happened with Lieutenant William Cayley after the My Lai massacres in Vietnam. So all that's going on around it, and then I see where the AI, artificial intelligence, interests have convinced the White House, after failing in Congress to get a law passed to prevent the states from regulating AI. The president is now going to issue an executive order, when it's clear that Congress didn't want to do it, to say that states can't regulate AI. Well, we're just getting started with artificial intelligence. And I know for a fact here in Montana, our privacy concerns from our Constitution are going to at least have us ask some questions. To say that we can't regulate it, that's bogus. So that's going on. And then this thing with the Epstein files, which I've followed it as most have. I'm not totally obsessed by it, but there was an editorial in the New York Times this week by a woman that said the people that are not talked about the most are the long list of women who, when they were young girls or young women, teenagers, children, were abused by this group of people that's still coming into focus, that may or may not involve President Trump or all the other characters, Democrats, Republicans. And I look at that, and it just really, I just can't believe that's been happening. I mean, I'm a father of 3 daughters, and I just can't see it. It's like, what the hell is the matter with you people? So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at how casually our law is being moved aside, and both for the protection of young people, but also the protection of our country, protection of our GIs. And I'm saying there's something wrong with this picture. So I was at a table at a thing here in Helena we call Great Conversations, and we were talking about, at our table, about Hannah Arendt and the people who became refugees and are stateless. And her point about, we all have a right to have rights, and yet how the our present government is abusing the power of arrest and detention and just moving people around like they're nobodies. It's very troubling to me. It should be very troubling to all of us. And so I'm sitting there going, is this a failure of democracy? Well, in a way it is, since that first attempt to, there have been several very successful attempts to purchase an outcome from Congress. So our representative democracy has been tainted, to say the least, by money and politics. But I guess because of that, I thought it was that we're witnessing a failure of our democracy. But I think today, what we're witnessing is a failure of capitalism. A failure of capitalism. Now, if capitalism is each one of those swoops, and most of them are still, doing fine, people are being honest, they're exchanging goods and treating each other properly, paying their taxes, bringing vast wealth to all of us. Is it a piece of the capitalist system that's failing? What really is happening here? And so for the first time in my life, I find myself in a position, and communists haven't done it, it's as though capitalism is starting to fail of its own weight. I was telling my wife the other night that I feel completely wealthy in all the good ways. I've been fortunate to have an education, got my military service out of the way, have clean air, live in Montana. I mean, who could be better off than this guy? I'm pretty happy. And I look at the people that are doing the kind of things that we're talking about, Democrat and Republican, and I'm going, there's something wrong with these people. I mean, there really is. There's a screw loose somewhere. I mean, whatever happened to saying thank you? Whatever happened to being grateful? Why is getting rich so important, and what is wealth? I feel I'm rich. I don't have a lot of money. We're fine, but there's only so much to go around that this capitalist system will develop, and it's done a good job. But we have to make sure it's spread around properly. But now I'm starting to realize that it may be broken. And I think people who generally favor the whole capitalist way of life need to start thinking about what's wrong here. And why would a capitalist want to screw with the school system that feeds all the intelligent, informed, trained people into its factories and businesses? To me, there's something very wrong, very, very wrong, and I'm very concerned about it. So what I did, because this is also the week when the whole stock market was, like on pins and needles waiting for NVIDIA, the big chip maker that makes the chips that are designed specifically to help artificial intelligence companies, to see what their third quarterly report was going to be. Well, going up to that, there's been all this talk about a bubble, which there still may be, because none of the companies that are buying the chips, investing these huge amounts of money in data centers, have yet to show a profit. But maybe it takes longer, we'll see. But anyhow, NVIDIA finally came in with just a gangbuster report on their third quarter. Still no talk of companies that buy the chip making any profits yet. But I use AI, so what I did, and I recommend that you do it too, use your Chat GPT. I guess there's a Chat GPT 5 or whatever you use for your AI, and ask it the question, how does capitalism fail? How does it fail? We watched communism fail, right? Everybody knows that went down the tube. So does that mean capitalism is going to be around forever? And so ask your AI, how does capitalism fail? And you're going to find out it's failing for all the reasons that are now evident, including lying about climate change. Because what happens is that demand for the system, for the products of the system, starts to fall apart. And when you have a huge spread in income, like we're seeing now, exorbitant changes or spreads between people that are the wealthiest and the rest of us, there begins to be a decrease in demand for the products. And I won't tell you what the other things. There's about 6 things are that your AI will tell you will be the cause of the demise of capitalism. And I think we're well into them. So, surprising as it may sound, I think we need to work together to find a way to preserve our capitalist society before it destroys itself. And I really think that's what we're dealing with. Anyhow, that's what I got to say. Take care.